Standing Out in Lightning is a poem dedicated to all spiritualists who have had a genuine encounter with the spiritual. Shuddering, struck by that, I tremble, burn, I fall. The question is not, will I survive, but in how many thunderstorms must I stand? And you may think to yourself, why are Tarun and Celia Cherian making such a big deal about it? After all, what is spirituality? You meditate a little, you get some visions, you make a big deal in song and dance about it, you quote a few scriptures, and that's it. That is not it. In one of my first big spiritual experiences, I was about 13 or 14 years old in a hostel. And there was a raging cyclonic storm hitting Madras at that time. And I went out onto the terrace where the winds were really pushing things around. I stood out in the rain for maybe 2-3 hours, clinging on to a post at times because the wind was so strong. And I was much lighter then, of course. And that was when I felt myself being pulled out of my body and taken up and out into the storm. And I could see the whole storm. I merged with the storm. And I was part of that storm. And I could see the whole of Madras from above, with very different eyes, half human, half storm, half bird, half broken tree. The next cyclone strikes, where will you be? And to go to the point where we can actually experience something true and genuine beyond our ordinary seeing, most of us spiritualists have done something often quite silly. For example, Rajneesh or Osho leapt into a raging river when in spate during monsoon time and swam across it. It's bad enough trying to master a river, but when it is raging in monsoon time is the other side of insane. But it is not just what you do to get there that is important. The experience itself can shift and stretch one's mind in ways that is impossible to believe. There was a time when Celia was in 2 places at one point in time. For days and months after the experience, there were times when suddenly the world would become fuzzy or dual. It would suddenly stretch. Suddenly imagine walking and suddenly you didn't know where the ground was. One person we had talked to in a party, a good friend's wife, had told us that the other day she was traveling in an auto when suddenly she felt herself expand across the city, become part of it. And what was incredibly troubling for her was she was a girl of science and she didn't know whether to trust her inner vision or to trust science. And then she saw those two as being incompatible. And in every deep spiritual experience, your very world starts crumbling. We were taking a deep spiritual seeker in to explore her past lives. And when she went in deep, she saw herself as a man. So you'll ask, what's the big deal? Well, she saw herself as a man with such great intensity that she could feel the hair on her chest. And when she came out, for days, she could feel hair in the chest. And you can imagine how traumatizing it can be. It took a few weeks for that to be healed. But the vividity of it made sure that while a range of ivory-headed scientists debate about whether it is true or untrue, she knows it is true. We live many lives. And that throws up questions for if reincarnation is true, and you have come from some religions which believe it is not true, the kind of mental turmoil one goes through is incredible. When you're struck by a deep spiritual experience, everything can change. One of our students saw a past life, a lovely past life. And a few months later, she met one of the people from that past life. So that's lovely, you may say. Yes, it is. Except that she and that person had a whirlwind romance lasting just 1 month, after which it broke. And when she came back to her husband, he was obviously appalled, and the whole marriage broke. Her children had to take sides. Was it worth it? Should she have had that affair? That's not the question. The point is that many people think they are on the spiritual path. Oh, I'm walking along, I'm doing some meditation. You are walking on a path in which you're consciously shifting the boundaries of yourself, the boundaries of your relationships with others, your boundaries of the world, your boundaries of time, space, and matter. And as we stand, hit by God's lightning, our world shaken, sometimes that is not enough. And we need to be hit again and again and again. So the growth process of moving from a being of flesh and matter to a being of light can be complete. And so the question is not, will I survive, but in how many thunderstorms must I stand? Thank you for subscribing to our channel, visiting creativechild.com, and growing with God.